Today, actually, I'll be speaking on digital forensics, which is the field which I actually work into. It's a very niche field within the field of cybersecurity as such. I hope everyone is doing well during the lockdown, and this is the time where you can actually enhance your skills and do well and prepare yourself for the future, especially building your career within this domain of cybersecurity. To start with, very few people actually are working in this field. Let me just start by saying if I ask you, can we name 10 film actors? I know everyone will name more than 100 of them. If I ask you, can you name 10 film stars? You will name more than 100 of them. But if I ask you, can you name 10 digital forensic analysts in the country? I'm 100% sure it will be a tougher question than an IIT question paper, because you'll not be able to tell me 10 people even if I give you 24 hours to find them out, right? So this you can take it as an advantage also, because this is a field where you can get into, and there's a lot of scope where you can develop your skills. Now, as Nishta said, cybersecurity is a very vast field, and digital forensic is one of the very niche fields within that particular domain as such. To make it a bit interesting, what I'm going to do is I'll share a few case studies with you so that it makes you interesting and at least few of you get attracted towards this field. Before starting, let me tell you, this field you require passion and patience. It's a very tedious work you have to do, but it's very interesting also and very well paid job also if you're going in the private sector as such or internationally. I just remember one of the case which came to us. Now we had a particular laptop which had come for investigations, and suddenly when the analyst team carried out or did the imaging as such, they found that there was nothing within that particular hard drive, particular image. So it was a bit of shock to them, because the reason was this laptop was being used for a year over, and still they could not see any of the data while carrying out manual analysis.
Santosh Khadsare.
So when it was my team, of course, so I just asked them a question: have you heard something called as file signatures? And of course they had heard of, because they were into this field as such. And then I told them, please identify a file signature. After going through the file signature, they were able to identify it, and they found that the file signature belonged to a BitLocker encryption, which is a default encryption within the Windows operating system, which everyone, you, me, use it while actually storing or encrypting a file. So, but that was just you can say answer theoretical, but how to go about it, because we wanted to extract the file and also wanted to maintain the integrity, that there should be no changes in the system. So I'll just directly come to the answer as such. What we did is we had the original system and had the image also. So we first made a clone of it. Clone is basically a bootable, you can say. You can boot that particular drive as the normal system as such. And after booting that clone, we were able to bypass the Windows password, which is a relatively easier job for geeks like you who are listening to me, because nowadays you can bypass the operating system passwords as such. But that's not it. Here comes, you should have a knowledge when you're carrying out forensics. First of the operating system, and secondly of the, you can say, the task at hand. As I told you, we had a BitLocker encryption. This is a default Windows encryption. You should also know that by default BitLocker stores its keys in a particular file within the C drive. So from that, we were able to extract that particular key and then log in into the image with that key, and then extract the file forensically in a sound manner without even with integrity intact. So this is how the case goes. So you must see how interesting this particular field is. Now, one more thing which I want to tell you is people usually get confused between the word digital forensics, cyber forensics, and they ask me what is the basic difference between. What I want to tell them is these words are usually interchangeably used by most of the people around the globe. But I recommend that you use digital forensic because it has a more wider gambit. It includes everything which is digital in nature and which stores, any storage media as such. Cyber is of course also used in view of digital forensics, so it's okay with it. Now, but also people ask me, okay, if that's just so digital and cyber, it's okay, but what is the difference between analysis and forensics? Now, when you say of analysis as such, every one of us knows that analysis is basically a detailed examination or evaluation, what you call, in a systematic manner. It's a Wikipedia or Google definition which I've just trying to tell you. But when it comes to forensics, forensics is basically a scientific and a techno-legal in nature. Here comes the difference. When I say techno-legal, a person who's doing forensics should have some legal background and legal knowledge, because his particular report or analysis has to be explained, or it has to stand the scrutiny of the law. In front of the judge, you have to explain him how you have done it and how you have not actually tampered with that particular evidence. So it's a techno-legal thing. Now, in normal crime, here also you are required to actually recreate the digital sequence of events. So that's where forensics comes, correlation comes. So analysis and forensics differently. Number of analyses are clubbed into a forensics investigation as such. So this is what is there. Now, before going ahead, let me also tell you, everyone must who reads technology knows law called as Locard's principle. Locard's principle very simply states that if there's between two items, if there's a contact, there'll be exchange. Very simple. If there's a murder weapon, a stabbing takes place, there'll be a weapon and there'll be blood on that weapon. So there's a contact and there's some exchange has taken place. Similarly, in robbery, you'll find fingerprint. Similarly, in digital forensic, anything has been digitally created, there will be an imprint on that particular device or on the cloud or somewhere else, which can be extracted and proved. Saying that, let me also tell you, in digital forensic, there's a lot of people expect please find the culprit. But this is not the case. In digital forensics, you cannot put man behind the machine. You can only put a statement of fact that this happened in the system, but you cannot tell who did it. So that is the work of the investigating officer. So your forensic analysis or investigation is assisting the investigating officer of police who is actually carrying out investigations. And that's how it assists. So you should understand where you have to stop. I said that you should know where you should stop. Now, what I want to tell you here again, that your forensic report should not only be accurate, it should be credible and stand legal scrutiny. A very heavy phrase I've used, but it is it. It should be accurate but credible also. So that credibility comes by maintaining integrity in your procedures, how you carry out the investigation. And as I've told you, please remember it, carve it, or write it on the top of the page if you are interested in this particular field. Cyber forensic is a techno-legal case. Every forensic analyst or forensic person should understand or should know the cyber laws of the land. It's just because of that you can actually prepare a report and make it presentable in the court of law. To be very truthful, I don't know the awareness level of the crowd in front of me now. So I assume that it's basic. So let me just discuss a few basic things. Now, when you say digital forensics, the definition or a Wikipedia definition which was coined long back in 2001, it says that digital forensics is the use of scientifically derived and proved methods. For what? For actually identifying, then collection, analysis, report preparation, preservation, documentation, which can facilitate someone to recreate the incident which I just mentioned. So there are various stages within the forensic research. When you speak of digital artifacts, now when I say artifacts, means the devices in layman's term which come for analysis. You know, there are so many devices which come. Commonly known as hard disk, you have flash drives, you have memory cards, you have USBs. But nowadays, even people should know their devices such as printers, you have NAS, you have IoT devices, you have the PLCs, you have so many other devices which require forensic analysis and which are termed as forensic artifacts. Now, why do they come to you? They come to you for analysis. Some crime has happened. Crime may be espionage, maybe a fraud, maybe something related to pornography, something related to malware analysis, or forgery or sexual harassment. And that has come for your forensic investigations or analysis you have called. So once it has come to you, the IO expects something from you. The person who was sent says, okay, I want to find out whether this particular document existed on this particular device or not, or whether the document is preferred or not, whether this malware is malware infected or not, or whether this malware still is there or not. So these are the questions which has to be answered. So the basic thing which pops up here is you should have a basic questionnaire from the IO to actually understand what investigations you have to carry out. Otherwise, as a forensic analyst, as I told you, it takes a lot of patience. It might go for days and weeks if you don't know what you want to actually analyze. So this is very important to know what is required out of you when you are doing the actually forensics into that particular device. There are a lot of stages involved in it. So what I feel is the stages, there are a lot of charts and graphs which tell you. Most important, which I feel especially all around the globe, is where it is faltered, means where there is a lacuna or which needs to be actually beefed up or understood or awareness has to be spread, is the seizure, identification, seizure and dispatch to the lab, package and dispatch to the lab. Now this task is basically done by the low-level staff within the law enforcement agencies who do not understand computer. So they should be able to identify a device which has actually done the crime and seize it as per legal procedures, pack it so that it doesn't get damaged and deliver it to the lab. So here the very big lacuna is there where actually awareness is required. Seizure itself is a task in itself. Means it's a task in itself and you should know how to seize a particular device. I just want to give a simple example. Suppose in your house, you have a ADSL modem and Wi-Fi modem. To that many devices are connected, your laptop, 3-4 phones, some other things may be connected wired, wireless. Now, if a crime is taken from a particular device and a MAC address is given to that particular, and the ISP gives the address of that name address of the individual, this is which needs to be seized. What happens when the particular charge goes to that particular house? He doesn't find the MAC address firstly. Secondly, then he seizes all the devices. He may be right, he might get the device, he gets it. But the most important thing which he forgets, we see to see is the ADSL modem. Because the MAC address or the outwards facing device of that particular, you can say, internet tube or internet connectivity is the ADSL modem, which can be used to correlate with among the 10 devices within that house where it was used to actually commit that crime. So knowledge about what to be seized, what not to be seized, how to be seized. There have been incidents when they have forgotten the smart TVs or the smart monitors to seize, which have the you can say the hard disk or the storage media within that particular device. So this requires a lot of, you can say, awareness training, and which has to be done to the lower level staff which is there. Coming out to forensics more, what are the cardinal rules, important rules or layman's rules, or what are the you can say the star points? Never mishandle the evidence. It is that the evidence is always mishandled. This is always, even if it's packed, it is packed in. I've seen cases where the mobile is that they pack it and seal it, not realizing that the seal and the heat might damage the device itself. Whether the seat should be in anti-static bag, whether the mobile charger should be sealed. So the mishandling starts from the stage of the seizure itself, and it happens even in the lab. Most important is to never work on the original evidence. That's why in forensic lab we make a lot of images. And I told you the BitLocker case also to start with. So you should never work on the original image. You work on the you can say the image, so that whatever evidence is extracted, you can prove it by hashing of that evidence and the image and the original that there is no tampering which has taken place. And even if a second opinion is required, you can actually, that particular image can be given to some other forensic analyst to actually do the analysis on, so that they can be substantiated. One more important thing which most of the people don't do in the lab is document everything, starting from when it comes to the lab. It's very, very, very important, because if you don't document, you don't know what procedures you have carried out. Because a case which has come to a lab is not that the case comes and you start analysis. There are many times where you have to put it in a storage and take it after 3-4 months and do the analysis. So unless until documentation is done before, during and after is very important in forensic analysis. Apart from that, nowadays most of the devices which come from forensics are mobile phones or mobile devices as such. I'll give a simplest example. If you don't know what are the features of that particular device, you cannot carry out the analysis. For example, a normal iPhone has iPhone has a feature of heat mapping. So there's a case which was solved by the heat mapping of that particular iPhone. Suppose if you make some movement, for example, throw it out of the car, the motion which the equipment has gone through, that is moving from your hand to outside the car, actually develops a heat map. And with the correlation of timestamp, and you can actually find out who was using it, where it was used, where it was thrown, and in this way a rape and murder case was also solved. So this is how forensics is. Before going ahead, let me tell you one more case study. There was a mobile phone which had come for analysis, and we found that there were two applications installed in it. Means same application. For example, calculator is a default application. We saw two calculator application installed in. So of course it raised some suspicion, and apart from that, there was some storage which was being additionally used by some application. So that was one more suspicion which was there in the particular device. So once we did the analysis, we did the physical extraction. Everyone must be knowing that mobile will do logical, physical, ADB, and then file system extraction as such. When we did that particular extraction, what happened is we found out, and we were sure that one of that calculator app is a false one. So from that false APK, we were able to extract the XML file which had a code to that particular app which was installed. Because the codes are actually stored for authentication purpose. In this case, we found the code. Once we used that code to log in into that faulty app, to our surprise, it was a vault. There were a lot of videos, hidden documents, photographs which were in that vault, which were important to us from investigation point of view. So again, you should be very watchful while doing analysis, and then only you can go ahead while carrying out forensic analysis. You should also be very careful while actually taking the evidence or taking the device for analysis. There should be proper documentation with it. There's something called a chain of custody form which has to be there from the start of seizure to the end of the case. It actually tells you where and who handled the particular device, and the whole chain is actually followed. So if there's any tampering or mishandling, or you can say manipulating which takes place, that can be found out from the chain of custody form. As I already mentioned, there should be a brief of the case. You should know what the case is about, and most important, the questionnaire. What the IU wants to get investigated from. Other than that, the other documents, like you should have the authority who's depositing, who's collecting. So these things are very, very, very important, which require. Now, one more thing, one more case, interesting case, which I would like to tell you. Again, I always say that you should only not be technically sound. You should have presence of mind also, and there should be some logical reasoning also to what you're doing. You can't only think with the technical bent of mind. The case had come, again, a brand new laptop, 1 year usage. And when the image went done, we found nothing. But in this case, there were no file signatures also of the documents were there. But surprisingly, it had the installation, you can say, system files which were there and which were dated a year back. But there was no data as such stored in it. So it was very surprising, but as I said, we have to stick to the statement of fact. We had to say that there's no data or nothing in it. But suddenly something struck to us. Let's check the, you can say, make, model, serial of the device. Once we saw the make, model and serial of the device, we went to the website, to the OEM website, because it was a very, you can say, a branded laptop. After we put that serial number, we found that it was not matching. Then we put the serial number of the laptop. We found that that laptop was associated with various peripherals, and that hard disk also was one peripheral which was not matching with which had come for analysis. Then we came to a conclusion that the hard disk has been changed, the system files have been replaced. Then when we asked that particular so-called accused, he refused to accept it. So what we did is we took that particular present hard disk details and we mailed it to an e-commerce site on which we had seen the same make, model type of a hard disk being sold. They responded that this serial number was actually dispatched to a particular individual and it matched with the individual whose laptop it was. And this is how it was. The case was solved. We asked for the next hard disk, and then whatsoever happened, what happened. So logical reasoning is also a very important part of forensic. It's not that you go by the technical bent of mind and you are just going and trying to analyze things. It's a tedious task. It takes time. There's no time bound for doing analysis as such. But there are live analysis, dynamic analysis, static analysis. It depends. One thing which I want to tell you is for forensic report has to be very precise, clear, in a simple terms, because it has to be produced in the court. Now, one more thing I want to bring in here is the expert witness. Now, expert witness, as per the Indian courts and IT Act, Information Technology Act, there has to be an expert witness. An expert witness is basically who's carried out analysis, who has sufficient knowledge, experience. The court will not allow you to depose as expert witness or will not take a report and scrutinizes unless and until you are qualified as expert witness. So for that, you have to be well qualified, technically qualified. You should be able to answer all the questions. You should have history of doing experience for that matter. Now, one thing which I want to tell you how forensics is gaining importance in India as such. If you must have seen in 2019 BRICS Summit, our Honorable Prime Minister said that he will be holding a digital forensic conference in India, which is a very big thing because of this present lockdown. Maybe not this year, which was planned to, maybe in the coming year they may be, or it might be organized. So I would like to urge all of you to be a part of the process. This is a field which requires a lot of skilled labor, skilled people, and you should be a part of it and try to develop your skill. Before again going ahead, actually I've completed half an hour which was given to me. How much time do I have, Nishita or Anshul? Can you please tell me?
Sir, you have time. And if you would like to continue the session, you can. Or there are some questions that have been posted. If you would like to answer them first.
What I'll do in 10 minutes, I'll just finish. Then we can take questions together.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Now let's coming to the most important question, since there's a shortage of time as such. What is the capability within our country? Let me be very truthful to the capability. As of now, we have storage media, mobile analytic capability as such, which is quite sufficient. Very few FSLs are doing it. Means most of the FSLs are doing it, but other than FSLs, very few people are doing it. But there is a shortage of people within that also. Now, what is actually required? We need capabilities such as JTAG, chip-off, ISP, damaged device recovery, if they are burnt devices, you can say underwater devices, and such things are very much required. So capability building in that is much required. Now coming to me, most of the people ask me, should I be a BTech or an MTech to actually carry out forensics or to this particular field? The answer is clear-cut no. If you have the passion, you can still come in. Why am I saying this no? Yes, we require technical people who are MTech, BTech, and who have some additional knowledge. But there are few job roles such as a incident first responder or a lab assistant, whose task is basically taking the device, photographing it, checking the serial numbers. Lab assistant is actually doing the imaging, cloning, which can be done by any person who understands computer or who has some courses in his you can say CV. So there are few job profiles which any person can do. Now there are some technical job profiles as a lab assistant, technical manager, quality manager, which has to be done by technical people. For that you have to be qualified, and of course, and then only you can depose as the expert witness. So here comes, there are a lot of job profiles. Someday I can speak on the job profile in detail, but let me go ahead. Now, basic things, one more people who are new into it, sir, we don't have tools because they're expensive. Let me tell you, first I'll tell you, selection of tools is based on the skill set. If you actually know that particular tool, output, what output you desire, cost, if it's expensive as an individual, you cannot buy it, only you can say the government or you can say the private labs can buy it, and also the focus and other things. So tools are very important in doing analysis. But let me tell you, there are many, you can say, free tools. For imaging, if you want to go, there are many free tools. For live forensics, there are many free tools. Means if you have to take a random analysis, if you want to do the analysis of the images, there are frameworks like SleuthKit, Autopsy, which is there. There are SANS frameworks which are there, which are free of cost. You can use it, so you don't have to have a commercial tool as such. So you can still carry out. Yes, there's a problem when you do mobile forensics because their commercial tools are required, because support to a particular make model is required. But there are plethora of tools in it. Lastly, let me tell you one thing here. Usually people wants to excel in all the subfields within the digital forensics. Please don't go in that manner. You select a particular field within the subfield within digital forensics. Like if you want to do expertise in say storage media, or mobile forensics, or cloud, or IoT, or a particular something else, please do in a particular field, because you cannot excel in everything. That's the mistake which most of the people do, or nowadays everyone wants to do everything. So you can do storage media and mobile, but then you may know other sub field, but you cannot master in that. So you should know everything. You should know things how they are done, but you cannot excel in all the things. So systematically, step by step, of course, you can go. After learning this two, you can go to the third one. So many things which can be developed and which can be done. Now there are many institutions which are there, which give you courses. I need not say, you can just Google it. Two things I want to tell you before I just wind up, which are very important as per me. I always recommend, please find a mentor. In any field you should have a mentor who will guide you to do right things, and you can actually streamline your career. Otherwise, it is very difficult in the field of like such as digital forensics to actually find your own way. It's like a tunnel, dark tunnel with many roads. So you have to find a mentor who will guide you and tell you what to do, what not to do. Secondly, take internship. Even if you are qualified, no one will give you a job if you don't have proper internship, if you have not worked on live cases. So even if you have to do free of cost, if you don't get paid for an internship, it's still recommend you go for an internship. Otherwise, it's not there. And some side thing we should do simultaneously is write articles, voice your opinion, go to conference, speak, comment. However stupid your comment is, however stupid your question is, ask. Then only you can go to this field. Now, forensics cannot be covered in an hour or so. It takes days to cover. So I just wanted to give a primer, or just to motivate you or inspire you. This is a field you can come into. And since Anshul was a good friend of mine, or this he requested me, I made it a point to address you all. I'll still take a few questions, whatever they are there. And even if questions are not answered, I'm available on my LinkedIn profile or on some other. You can just Google my name and you'll find it. I'll answer there also. But we'll take some questions. Yeah, Nishita?
Sure.